Tim Swinney with Timco. We're here at the 2018 International Work Boat Show in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'd like to show you our TVAP 4 alarm system. It's designed for inland towboats, commercial marine vessels of all types, and it's to satisfy Subchapter M requirements, but it's more than that. It enhances the vessel operations, and let me just tell you a little bit about it. So we, under the Subchapter M mandates, we have to monitor certain aspects of the vessel's operation. All engines, oil pressure and water temperature, hydraulic steering fluid levels, and also the bilges. But we didn't stop with just that, because you have the system to do all those things. You can just very easily go ahead and make the system improve the boat operation totally. So what we do is we take this every kind of analog and digital input from the boat. That'd be coolant water level, oil pressure in the engine, water temperature of the engine, the bilges, hydraulic level, fuel tank levels, door closures, anything that you would like. We provide the sensors to make all that happen. They're all wired into our panel, and all of those senders feed our I/O devices, which convert it to a J1939 protocol, which is an automotive software architecture that is used by all the main engine manufacturers. And we chose that because most everybody that's in the industry understands and uses that. So we turn everything into digital code, and we can transmit the data by CAN bus. So this would be the panel that would be in the engine room, and we'd have a display for the port and starboard generators showing both analog and digital data that's relevant. And under Subchapter M requirements, you have to have a tachometer, so that's what this is fulfilling. And of course, you've got your main engine instruments, both analog and digitally displayed. So we have the kind of like the claim to fame, if you will, is the simplicity of the system. We have this particular unit's in the engine room, and we have the status is okay. We could be monitoring 30, 40 different alarm points throughout the vessel. And so the operator really doesn't have to be too concerned about understanding anything other than a specific alarm message. The same display is also shown in the pilot house. So this is in the engine room, where you'd have a status change on the display and a light and horn, and then we go through a very small 2-pair cable via CAN bus to the pilot house, and it gives you very specific digital information in the wheelhouse. And it allows us, if you will, walk over here and I'll show you. This is the typical instrumentation for the pilot house. We use a Murphy PV380, which is a tried and true platform, and we would have like the main engine oil pressure, the marine gear oil pressure, the main engine water temperature, marine gear oil temperature, tachometer. All these things are graphic in an analog form, and also very specifically digitally portrayed. We have the ability to give you the engine room temperature, your system air supply pressure, and also we alarm on that. So we alarm on pretty much every salient area that you would be interested in. So this up here is actually above and beyond the Subchapter M requirements. What we thought is that when you're upgrading the boat, for just a little bit more, you make the boat kind of like a smart boat, or make it better. So you have the option of getting a nice real-time display in the office of one or multiple vessels. We have apps where you can actually get alarms posted to text to cell phones. And I'll say this, in our system, we have data logging. So any event, date and time, engines on and off, any kind of failures, anything like that, after the fact, it can always be downloaded to computer so you can see what's going on. So what we would do at this time, I'd like to walk back over to the panel and simulate an alarm occurrence. Now, this is a level alarm switch. I'm going to rotate it now, but it'll take just a few seconds because we have a built-in delay. Because of sloshing, we don't want to have nuisance alarms. So we come over here and we see a very specific alarm. And so the operator would respond very promptly to a specific message. Port main engine water level low. So I'll acknowledge it to silence it. This is in the engine room, but let's go back over here. So I'm the pilot, I'm driving the boat. I don't have to really know a great deal about any fancy system that's complicated, but in the pilot house you'll have this. and it'll have a little tone and a light, and it'll tell me exactly what the issue is. Port main cooling water is low. So I would acknowledge it, get on my radio, and I'd ask the appropriate crew member to go down and say, hey, please check the main engine coolant water. It looks like it's low. We don't want to have a problem. And that's simple. So after that's corrected, you can hit it again and it resets the system. If I have an active alarm that's not been corrected, that's going to stay on the screen. If we have a subsequent alarm while we have one in the queue, we're going to get a horn to get our attention again, to bring our attention to that second or third or subsequent alarm. And as long as those things are not addressed, they remain on the screen and they scroll every few seconds. It's a pretty significant reminder. It helps people to basically take care of their equipment. What I find operators like so much is the fact that we can have on the CAN bus a very small wire to take so much information from the engine room into the pilot house. So we have very specific information. The the analog information, the bar graphs and the pointers, are great for the pilot scan. It gives him like a feeling of what's going on the boat. But with old steam around gauges, you don't really get an idea of exactly what oil pressure or water temperature is. In this case, we have very specific values for like main engine oil pressure, 21 psi. On the starboard side, we have 31 psi. So I could look at this and I'd say this engine on the starboard side is a little bit healthier because it's carrying 10 more psi of oil pressure. But I could mitigate it by looking at the RPM. I'm 639, I'm 1078, and the oil pressure does increase a little bit with the RPMs. But what historically you have is good oil pressure and water temperature, but you can't get things like high pressure from the gearbox. So in this case, we've got high pressure gearbox reading 346, and you can't get that previously without this kind of technology. And again, we have marine gear oil temperature. So, you know, as significant as your engines are, your gearboxes are as well, just like the entire drive line. And so this system alarms on loss of propulsion, hydraulic steering fluid, bilges, multiple bilges, whether it be forward, aft, engine room, port, starboard. We could have 6 bilges. However the boat is built, we can have as many of those sensors as you like. Coolant water level temperature, or coolant water levels are displayed. The subchapter M requirements are this. We give you a little bit more. It doesn't cost you anything for that additional ability to protect your equipment. So that's the TVAP system from Timco. If you have any further interest, I hope you'll contact Timco, and you can see more on tvap.info. Thank you very much for your time.